2NURFM's Health and Wellbeing. For our sponsor, Mullen Natural Health Centre, Hamilton.
Today we are talking about food for kids. We are joined by Peter and Karlie from Mullen Natural Health Centre, of course. Pete, the importance of the food that we give our kids, is a huge part, not just, but, when they're young, but it's obviously for when they're older too, training them to eat healthy.
And I think that's the key word, Colin. We've talked quite a few times on the program before about how our kids' health is changing. How kids have more health issues. There's more nut-free schools and allergies, asthma, ADD, conditions like autism are dramatically increasing. So there's some things happening with our kids' health. So we're sort of, from the fighting at the coalface, so to speak, we're seeing a lot of kids having a lot more health challenges. And, we've talked a lot on this show before about the importance of healthy gut, having a healthy gut, healthy microbiome, bacterial balance. But obviously with kids, food is the cornerstone of having good health. And as you said, it's not just health as kids, it's also their health into adulthood. If we don't train our kids to have good eating habits now, then we're going to see that all of these chronic diseases like diabetes, obesity, cancer, cardiovascular disease, they're going to continue to increase. So it's with our kids that we have actually this wonderful opportunity to really make a big difference, not for their health, for their lifetime, but hopefully for when they have their kids. If we don't turn this around, so that this generation's better, that hopefully the next generation will be better, we're going to continue down this road of poor health.
It's really important that we do take care of our kids' health right now. Not in 10 to 15 years' time when, they're at that teenagehood. This can really change their life from a young age, can get rid of the things like ADHD and things like that. You talked last week, I was listening to when you were saying things like that. So it is important. And Karlie, it's got to be healthy and appealing, doesn't it? For the kids that's at school and he's got, the block of chocolate, then you pull out the carrot sticks. I know what one I'm going to go for,
Well, I guess that's the whole idea of teaching our kids early of why we eat a particular food, and get them into better patterns at a young age. Obviously, when kids are a little bit older, it can be a little bit more difficult, but we definitely have solutions and techniques to increase nutrients and vegetables in their diet.
What sort of foods would your kids usually have for, say, breakfast?
Well, breakfast I find is a pretty easy one, really. We majority of the time have a smoothie bowl, and the good thing about that is that I can change the ingredients, change the colours, obviously with what I'm putting into it, and the girls get to help me make it, so it's exciting for them. So I think that's a really easy one. So in a smoothie bowl, there'll always be some baby spinach, cucumber, a little bit of banana, and I can chuck some nuts and seeds in there to increase the nutritional component of that, the protein and the fats.
Yeah.
Because a protein and fat breakfast for children is the most important concept that we have to. Yeah.
And really that's what we see with kids. Don't you think about what most kids have for breakfast, or what, in the West we've been educated for breakfast to have a cereal, often a very high sugar cereal, and milk, and sometimes with extra sugar. So giving our kids like a sugary breakfast cereal, their blood sugar levels are going to shoot up and they're going to crash mid-morning, and that's when they're going to be off their chops, not able to concentrate, and often they'll be reaching then for another sweet treat for morning tea. So so with your breakfast suggestion, so in a breakfast bowl, you'd have some green spinach, baby spinach, cucumber,
a little bit of banana, some berries, but nuts and seeds, coconut oil, gelatin powder, and you whiz it in a blender.
Okay, so you actually blend all that together.
You blend it up to make a smoothie, and as I said, depending on all different types of flavours you put in, it actually can change the colour. So they get a bit of variety, different tastes.
So the banana and the berries would disguise the taste of because when you describe it, I could see Colin pulling faces over there. It doesn't sound as appealing, but when you actually blend it all together, and you've got the banana and the berries,
you don't taste anything else. It's pretty much like a nice, a sweet
berry smoothie.
Yeah. So that gets poured in the bowl, and a little bit of puff rice, nuts and seeds on the top, some hemp seeds and some bee pollen. That's what we put on the top. But the girls get to decorate the top of their smoothie bowl. So it's exciting for them, and yeah.
So every day, so you've got and that's probably a really good tip for starters is if kids are going to try different foods, they kind of need to be involved and a bit excited about the process. So that's a great idea. So having little containers of the nuts and seeds, and they can make faces or
they do, and they pick it out of the container, they pop it into the blender, and they also decorate their bowls. So they want to eat that because they've made it.
And eat it with a spoon?
Yep, eat it with a spoon. Yep, I put avocado in it as well, so it makes it really creamy and thick. And you wouldn't taste the difference from a normal banana smoothie.
Very interesting.
What we might do, Colin, when I come next week, could you make an extra one in the morning?
Absolutely.
And I'll bring some along for Colin to try on air.
Yeah, righto. That sounds good.
With the video playing in the background.
Karlie, talking about morning tea, we've discussed breakfast, and we're trying to make it as an appealing and as healthy as we possibly can. Morning tea, though.
So morning tea, my girls love to eat yogurt, and it's always a full-fat yogurt of good quality. I like to get one from the farmers markets. The other yogurt I use, and I alternate the two, would be a coconut yogurt. So they'll have a few berries on top of that with some nuts and seeds, depending if they're at school, because they can't have the nuts at school.
Yep.
But having a good quality yogurt contains a lot of good bacteria, probiotics, which is really important for gut health. And
with taking yogurt to school, you just put a little ice brick in their lunchbox?
Yep. So if they're at primary school, a little ice brick's fine. You can actually get containers now that they're stored in the freezer or the fridge, and then you actually just fill that container up so the actual container stays cold.
Oh, so it's got like a frozen section to the container. That's a great idea.
Hasn't they come a long way since we were kids?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Did everything in your lunchbox smelt the same by lunchtime?
No.
Hot and plasticky.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
But the yogurt is also beneficial because it has good fats and proteins, and that's the idea of balancing out their meals containing enough proteins.
So we really want to give the kids a consistent release of nutrients for energy, not this big whack of sugar every time that they eat, which really is going to affect behaviour and also weight as well. Weight issues with our kids is getting out of control. And, at our recent weight loss talks, Colin, and you came to that last one, we were talking about, the fact that we're all carbohydrate addicts these days, that we all fill up on carbs, and the kids are going down that same road. So balancing fats and protein, or having fats and proteins, helps to steady that sugar out. And Karlie, just with probiotics, we were talking, we've been talking a lot on this show about how the balance of our bacteria in our gut really, does relate to a lot of health outcomes. What do you do? So probiotics for your kids, so you give them things like the coconut yogurt.
Yep.
What other probiotics would you give or include in their diet?
They also have a probiotic powder daily, obviously just to increase the count daily for them.
Yep.
But definitely fermented foods. They have mesopaste, which is a fermented soybean instead of Vegemite. Tastes the same. It's quite salty, but it doesn't contain any of the nasties that other spreads might have.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And you can actually, in winter, you can actually make it up into, you can make it like a soup or a broth as well. But I hadn't thought about actually having it on crackers.
Yeah, it's delicious.
We might have to actually have a taste session soon. We'll bring some things in and we'll try them.
Good.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Talking about lunch also, that's another one where kids, they need a lot of energy, and they have got a lot of energy. What would be your suggestion for lunch?
So my biggest advice for lunches is to think outside the square. A sandwich with some spread is really not enough to sustain their growth and development. There's a lot of containers now that you can actually pack an actual meal for them. So I like to pack a quiche or a frittata or patties. They love lamb cutlets, meatballs.
Okay,
so they have a substantial meal. Yeah.
Cold, so they'll have some sort of cold protein.
Absolutely.
Yep.
They also love vegetable sticks. So my girls will have them cut up with some sort of dip, like hummus or a pesto or something, because the novelty of dipping something in is they find that exciting. So obviously my kids have been brought up quite early of eating this sort of way, and I understand have some challenges, but the more you include those foods, the more likely they are to get into a better pattern.
And that's one of the benefits I think we were talking about earlier of teaching your children to eat this way, because I'm sure a lot of mums or nanas, the grandparents listening out there would think, oh my goodness, there's no way little Johnny's going to come at lamb chops and veggie sticks and hummus for lunch.
Yes.
So for someone like that traditionally is, or not, I was going to say peanut butter and honey, but you can't have peanut butter at most schools these days. So if they're having, white bread with margarine and
jam or something,
or Vegemite, what sort of steps? How would you get someone from, if they're eating that sort of food now? How would you get them geared towards having a healthier lunchbox? Obviously, if you send the child to school with what you've suggested, when the day before they had white bread sandwiches, I can imagine where that lunch is going to end up.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I think it's slow and steady. I don't think a major change straight away is ideal, but always making better changes is a better outcome. I think kids would like to have meatballs or some sort of meat. Majority of kids like that sort of that sort of food.
Taste, yeah.
But the more they're like, with my youngest, I've been packing her lunch and including cucumbers for a few months. She doesn't eat cucumber, but now she's starting to eat it because I'm actually every day I have one slice in there, so she knows that it's always going to happen.
Well, the old saying always used to be, how many times do you have to ask someone before they'll finally say yes? And if you think about our kids, when they want something like a new Xbox game or whatever, they'll ask and ask and ask and ask until eventually we give them what we want, as almost if it was our own idea. A lot of times parents might try their kids with, say, broccoli or cucumber once, and their child won't eat it, so they never try it again. But you're saying
You've
don't
just got to
give
keep
up,
adding it.
keep adding it, keep putting it on their plate until eventually
Be the boss.
Correct.
Be the boss.
Yeah.
Is your mum listening?
I don't know. I'll know when I get home.
You'll know when you get home and there's nothing
there'll be
tonight.
A text message,
That'll be a surprise.
There'll be nothing. The bedroom will be cleared out. I'll be off the wheel. Dinner, though, do you cook separate meals for the kids and yourself, or you just cook? Obviously not.
Obviously, it's ideal to cook for one. Then you don't feel like you're in the kitchen a lot. So, but adapting to how your kids like to eat. Some kids like the texture a certain way, so being mindful if they like things a bit mashed up, to try to mash it up. If they like things separate, anything that you can do that suits their personality is going to be beneficial.
We always, with my kids, in winter anyway, did the mashed veggies, and that was always a great way of, hiding other colours and other vegetables into that as well. And so as an example, what's for dinner tonight?
Dinner tonight would be salmon. My girls like to eat salmon. They like the crispy skin the best. So that gets fried up. And some veggies on the side.
What about dessert?
Personally, I don't really serve dessert for my girls. It's obviously a special occasion, but it's something that they don't have every day. Just because I'd rather make the habit of not having something sweet after dinner.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That is a good idea. Like, and maybe if you do it like once a week.
Exactly, it's an occasion.
And you were talking before about party food, or what were you saying? Not everyday food.
It's just education of. It's always a talk about why they're eating a certain thing. So the vegetables, the carrots are going to make them see in the dark. So it's exciting for them. So they eat all their carrots.
Okay.
But they get education of why these foods for party food. It's okay to have them at parties, but every day we need to have the other nutrients to make them big and strong.
Yeah, okay. So what's your number one tip then for eating, healthy with kids?
Yeah, number one tip is absolutely we have to lead by example. So if we have a mentality that we don't like vegetables or we're not eating them, obviously our kids are going to have the same concept.
Good point.
So leading by example, education of why they have to eat a certain way because they're going to get big and strong. Make it fun, get them involved, and just understand that it's the most important thing for their health, to have a good diet.
To really get that nailed is critical for all future health for the kids.
Yeah. All right. Now, your next talk is happening on the 14th of March. It's about kids' health. Plenty of seats available. Where's that happening?
That'll be at Charlestown.
Yep.
At the... I forget the name of the place, but if people get onto our website, all
Yeah.
the information's there.
Okay.
And in that, we'll be talking a lot about kids' health, a lot of the things that affect kids' health. We'll be talking about leaky gut, pyrrole disorder, heavy metals, nutrient deficiencies. So all of the ways that our kids can suffer with their health.
Yep.
And really exciting, for the first time on the 28th of March, we're offering a free, on the 21st of March, Karlie's heading up a new free talk that we're doing for mums called Secret Women's Business, Secret Mother's Business. And in that, she'll actually be going through a whole host of ideas and recipes, pretty much expanding much more on what we've talked about today, because we really want to get out there in the community this message of we've got to get our kids' diets right first. Yeah. So we're really happy to offer this free service, a free talk, to come into our centre and come into our rooms and learn more about how to feed kids. And Karlie's got some great tips on how to introduce them to things like sauerkraut and fermented foods and kombucha. And so we're really excited to be offering that for the first time. So that's on the 21st of March. But if people get onto our website, if they go to mullenhealth.com.au, we've got some great specials on at the moment, but we also have these free talks that people can put their name down or get a ticket and come along.
All right. Thanks so much for your time today, guys, and we'll talk to you again next week, Pete.